আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, আমি তোমার কমেন্টসটা দেখে ওকে। Okay. Okay. So today I'll start with neoclassical economics. So I won't be able to cover too much of it, but that's okay. At least if you can understand how the neoclassical economics is different, that will be fine with me. See, as I've said that the Keynesian school emerged as a in response to the Great Depression. That was the shock to the economy, and the standard economic policies, uh, they were just failing to explain the depression, and they could not make any worthwhile policy recommendation. So the conditions of the depression continued throughout the 30s, and then we had the Second World War, in which you had to have, during any war, the state has to play a major role. Now, in the Keynesian school, Keynes had argued that state intervention, public intervention by the government, is very important. That directs the economy. The private sector is essentially a destabilizing sector. So it has to be the government who will stabilize the economy, introduce counter cyclical policies. So if there's a boom, the economy is getting overheated, the government will try to reduce demand. On the other hand, if there's recession, the government will try to stimulate demand and increase GDP. So the Keynesian orthodoxy continued in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. But from the 50s, late 50s onward, there were some rumblings against the Keynesian school. If the economic context was changing, and in many cases, the Keynesian policies, theories, were either unable to explain what was happening in the economy, and the policy recommendations were not working. So around this time, two branches of criticism emerged against Keynes. One was, as we have discussed, the monetarist counter-revolution, which was led by Milton Friedman and the Chicago School. The other is the what we call the new classical economics, which was led by Robert Lucas. Now, this new classical economics argued, just like Friedman had argued, that policy intervention is not justified. It is the private sector which has the capacity to absorb shocks. So if there's a demand side shock or if there's a supply side shock, the economy will move away from the long run equilibrium. But the private sector will make adjustments, and their responses will lead the economy back to equilibrium, the long run equilibrium. Now, if you introduce any fiscal or monetary policy changes, this is going to disturb the responses of the private sector. And as a result of it, the economy is going to get destabilized even further. So what was a temporary shift in from the full employment output level may become a more permanent shift. from the long run equilibrium. So this criticism, the criticism of policy, is just like Friedman had made. But in addition to this, Lucas made an even more fundamental criticism of Keynes. He argued that the Keynesian theory lacked internal consistency. Keynes had adopted or used behavioral functions like consumption, savings, investment, demand for money. He had said that the economy has an aggregate consumption function of this form. The economy has an aggregate money demand function of this type. Lucas argued that you just cannot develop a macro theory. You cannot say that the economy has a function like consumption function like this. You have to go to the economic agents. In case of consumption, it is households. In case of investment, it is firms. So you have to look into the decision-making process of firms and households. All of them maximize utility, maximize profit, and they do this given certain expectations. So when their agents are maximizing or optimizing, let us be more general, they optimize on the basis of what we call rational expectations. Now, what do we mean by rational expectations? I'm going to define this shortly. But anyway, so they have some expectations, they have some information, and based on these expectations and information, they maximize consumption, they maximize utility, maximize profit. And this optimization exercise will give a consumption savings function for the household, a money demand function for the economic agents. And using these individual functions, we can create or generate the macro functions, the macro consumption function, macro savings function, and so on. So in other words, Lucas was saying that any macro theory has to have micro foundations. You cannot develop a macro theory without first developing a theory of how individual agents behave. This micro foundation was absent in Keynes. So this theoretical criticism of the Keynesian school was the main characteristic of the new classical economics. And they started, Barrow, Clower, Grossman, they started off with trying to create this micro foundations. Now coming to the second point, or rather the first point about the policy, Lucas put forward the policy ineffectiveness proposition. The proposition simply stated that policy making, if you try to introduce any policy, it will not achieve its objectives. What is the basis of this proposition? Real variables cannot be stabilized. Okay. So if you use aggregate demand management policies, like you increase government spending, you change the money supply, you introduce tax cuts, the real variables will not be affected. They are insensitive to systematic policy changes. So if you announce that you are going to introduce a tax cut or increase government spending, this will not affect aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is going to be unchanged. And if demand is unchanged, output and employment will not change. How do they prove this?
Sir, could you show the previous slide once?
So, what was the monetarist view of policy intervention?
The monetarist view also was similar.
Yes, yes, okay.
So regarding policy, there was not much difference.
Hmm.
The difference was with the theoretical side.
Done, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So let us examine the policy ineffectiveness proposition using an example. Suppose money supply changes in the complete Keynesian model. What will happen? There will be an increase in aggregate demand. Okay. So this is the aggregate demand curve, and we will have a shift from AD0 to AD1. Okay. We assume that it is not a depression, so the supply curve is positively sloped. As you can see, price will go up from P0 to P1. Output also increases.
স্যার আপনার ভয়েসটা কিরকম আসছে
A lot of background noise.
হ্যাঁ, একটু দাঁড়ান, আমি জানলাটা খুলেছি। এবার ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা। So we can see that price has gone up, output also has gone up. Because it's just demand supply cross. Okay. Now if we turn to the labor market, ডিপ ব্রাউন গুলো হচ্ছে তোমার কার্ভ গুলো, লাইট ব্রাউন হচ্ছে নিউ কার্ভ। প্রাইস বেড়েছে মানে প্রাইস ইনক্রিজ মিনস this price into MPL. Now you have a new price. Instead of P0, you have P1. So the value of marginal product curve, what is the demand curve of labor, will shift rightwards. As a result of this, we can see that employment has gone up and the money wage also has gone up. There's a shift in the price into MP curve, increase in labor demand, money wage rises, employment rises. Now we come to the crucial assumption. Remember that the workers are bargaining for money wages, but ultimately they are interested in real wages. Now Keynes had assumed that workers don't know what is current price or what will be the price in the future. So they form an expectation. So real wages is not W by P, but W by ঠিক আছে? So this is important for Keynes. আচ্ছা। Now Keynes makes the assumption that the expected price is constant. As you know that expected price PE is a weighted sum of previous prices in the earlier periods. P-1, P-2, P-3 সেইভাবে. So what happens over here is expected prices will change very slowly. And if there is a policy change, people don't really change the expected price. কারণ policy চেঞ্জটা তো ওরা পরে ওটাকে ওদের ডিসিশন মেকিং প্রসেসে ভবিষ্যতে ওটাকে ইনকর্পোরেট করবে. এই মুহূর্তে কিন্তু ওরা পাস্টের উপর বেস করেই ডিসিশন নিচ্ছে. ইজ ইট ক্লিয়ার? নাকি এক্সপেকটেশনের ব্যাপারে আরেকবার বলবো?
আরেকবার বলুন।
ওকে, দেখো আজকের তারিখ হচ্ছে কত? 28, তাই তো? আচ্ছা, so suppose we are trying to form an expectation today. ঠিক আছে, this is going to be a weighted sum of price in 27 গতকাল, বুঝতে পারছো? এটা your expected price depends on past price. মানে আজকে যদি তোমাকে ডিসিশন নিতে বলি, তুমি এইভাবে ডিসিশন গুলো নিচ্ছ. লেট আস সে কবে, ধর এই পুরো মাসটা অবধি তুমি ডিসিশন নিচ্ছ. সেপ্টেম্বরের 1 থেকে তুমি ডিসিশন নিচ্ছ. ওকে, আচ্ছা, সো গিভেন দিস টাইপ অফ প্রাইস এক্সপেকটেশন, মানে প্রাইস এক্সপেক্টেড প্রাইস ইন 29 কি হবে? তুমি এই থেকে বাদ দিয়ে 28 প্রাইসটা, আজকের প্রাইসটাকে ইনকর্পোরেট করবে. আমি যদি করি, the only changes this will be এইখানটা. প্রত্যেকটা সময় তুমি লাস্ট পিরিয়ডের প্রাইসটা বাদ দিয়ে তুমি কারেন্ট প্রাইসটাকে ঢোকাচ্ছ. ঠিক আছে, 30টা কি হবে? তুমি 2টাকে বাদ দেবে, আমি কোএফিশিয়েন্ট গুলো না চেঞ্জ করছি না. পরের পিরিয়ডে কি হবে? তুমি এই প্রাইসটাকে বাদ দেবে করে তুমি 29th ডে প্রাইসটাকে অ্যাড করবে. এইভাবে তুমি যাচ্ছ. So what happens is price expectations change very slowly. Mainly তোমার আগে কি ঘটেছে, what has happened in the past, that forms your price expectation. তাহলে এই সময় যখন কোন একটা পলিসি চেঞ্জ হবে, price expectations should not change, or even if they change, they will change marginally. দেখো 28 আর 29 এর মধ্যে কি খুব একটা ডিফারেন্স হবে? জাস্ট তো তোমার 8 আর 8 এই দুটোই হচ্ছে ডিফারেন্সটা. 8কে বাদ দিয়ে এখানে নিয়ে আসছে, সেই কারণে খুব একটা ডিফারেন্স হবে না. So price expectations will be more or less constant over time. এইবারে যেটা হচ্ছে, এই যে পুরো মডেলটা তৈরি করা হয়েছে, এখানে কিন্তু ধরে নেওয়া হয়েছে যে price expectations are not changing. The entire model has been created based on the assumption that price expectations are constant. Okay. Now let us assume that okay. So in the short run, the price expectation depends upon past prices and they will not change in response to policy changes. But in the long run, what will happen is the price expectations will converge to the actual price. In the long run, you have more complete information, you have more information, you have complete information, and as a result, your expected price will be the same as the actual price. In this case, what happens is, দেখো এইখানে এইটাকে দেখো, expected priceটা দেখো। Initially তোমার expected price ছিল P0. Based on that, you have an aggregate demand curve. When the money supply was increased, you shifted from here to AD1, but expected price is same. In the long run, you realize that expected price has gone up, that there has been inflation in the economy, and so you revise your expected price from P0 to P1. Okay, so your aggregate demand is going to shift up again. আচ্ছা, এইখানে কি হচ্ছে, your aggregate supply is PE0. Again, you incorporate inflation, the fact that inflation has occurred in the economy. And so your aggregate supply curve will also shift. Okay, so the shift in the demand and supply curve is a two-stage process. In the first stage, only aggregate demand changes. And the reason is money supply has gone up. In the second stage, there's a change in price expectations. You realize, consumers, firms realize that there has been inflation in the economy, price has gone up from P0 to P1, so there should be an upward revision of expected prices. In the second round, therefore, both aggregate supply and aggregate demand will change. As a result of the change, you can see that the economy goes back from Y0 to Y0, from Y1 to Y0. ঠিক আছে, তাহলে ফার্স্ট রাউন্ডে কি হচ্ছে, you're shifting from Y0 to Y1, E0 to E1. সেকেন্ড রাউন্ডে কি হচ্ছে, তোমরা এইখানে ইকোনমিটা আবার ফেরত যাচ্ছে। The economy returns over here and output is falls back to Y0. Okay, so both AD and AS will shift to the left. Actually, আমার AD টা একটু ভুল আঁকা হয়েছে, এইটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমার AD টা হওয়া উচিত ছিল। I'll correct this diagram and give this slide to you. So both AD and AS will shift to the left, and this will restore the initial output level.
So, what was the correction?
দাঁড়াও, আমি করে দিচ্ছি। Actually, drawing it is so difficult. আচ্ছা, দেখো This is the initial output. Aggregate demand, aggregate supply intersects. This is the initial output, and this is price. When there's a change in the monetary supply, money supply goes up, the aggregate demand comes over here. Okay, so we can see that there's an increase in prices and an increase in output. There's inflation. In the second round, what happens is consumers, firms take into account this inflation and change their expectations. So now the expected prices will go up. Okay. So what will happen is, because there has been inflation, people are going to, the firms will supply at only a higher price. The same output will be supplied at a higher price. Similarly, consumers, the aggregate demand will be reduced. You come over here and what happens is the output is now has fallen back to the earlier level. এখানে প্রাইসটা বাড়তে পারে কমতে পারে, it's not important. ঠিক আছে, you can maybe shift it a little bit. Sorry, it's confusing, so I'll draw it again. Oh, sorry. এরকম হচ্ছে। তাহলে প্রথমে শিফটটা হচ্ছে এইভাবে, সেকেন্ড রাউন্ডে শিফটটা হচ্ছে এইভাবে। Anyway, I can't draw it, sorry. অ্যারোটা আমি ড্র করতে পারছি না। Can you follow this? এইটা হচ্ছে তোমার প্রথম এই, হ্যাঁ বলো।
No, sir, you can continue, sir.
আচ্ছা, লেবলি করে দিই। তাহলে এটা হচ্ছে তোমার এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ড। একটু দাঁড়াও, হ্যাঁ, আমার পেনটা ঠিক কাজ করছে না। পেনটাই ক্লোজ করতে হবে। দেখি এখন হয় কি না। So this is the aggregate demand. This is the aggregate supply. Okay. আর এইটা হচ্ছে তোমার ইকুইলিব্রিয়াম। ওকে, আচ্ছা, এইবারে যেটা হচ্ছে, what happens is there's a increase in money supply. So if there's an increase in money supply, your aggregate demand will shift over here. But price expectation is same. So you move to AD1, but you can see that the expected prices are the same. So the equilibrium will occur over here. Price has gone up, output also has gone up. Okay. Now, because there is inflation in the economy, inflation will lead to a revision of price expectations. Okay. Your expected price is going to go up from P0 to P1. Okay. So now you have AS1. এইখানটা খেয়াল রাখো, expected prices are now PE1. Because prices have gone up, a firm will want a higher level of prices for the same output. Consumer কি হবে?
It will fall, aggregate demand.
Okay. Okay. এইটা হয়ে যাবে। Your expected prices is now P1. And so the aggregate demand will shift leftwards over here. ব্রাউনটা থেকে ব্লুতে আসছে, ঠিক আছে? এবং শিফটটা এমন হবে যে এই যে দিস নিউ ইকুইলিব্রিয়াম E2, you can see over here, you will come back to the same price level. So what will happen is prices, there will be a second round inflation. Prices moves up from P1 to P2, but the output returns to the long run level. In case of the demand curve, we see that prices has sorry. In case of the demand curve, labor market, we can see that because prices have gone up, the demand curve of labor will shift upwards like this, from here to here. Now, when workers bargain for money wages, initially they bargain keeping in mind that prices will be P0. The expectation is the expected price is P0. So they are going to use this labor supply function. And what will happen is demand for the labor market equilibrium will move from E0 to E1. Money wages goes up and employment increases. Once there is inflation, in the long run, this is incorporated into the expectations. So the expected prices will be revised upwards to P10. What will the workers say? That okay, with the same, we will supply the same labor, but because prices are going up, we want higher wages. মানে আমরা যদি একই লেবার সাপ্লাই করব, ঠিক আছে, লজিক্যালি ভাবো, ডোন্ট থিঙ্ক ইন টার্মস অফ থিওরি। এখন ধরো তোমাকে আমি 10 টাকা করে ওয়েজ দিচ্ছি, ইউ এক্সপেক্ট প্রাইসেস টু গো আপ, will you still work for 10 rupees
Higher wage.
or will you want a higher wage? You will want a higher wage. So কি হচ্ছে এটা? আচ্ছা, okay, so you want a higher wage and so the supply of labor will shift upwards. দেখো, at any particular end you want higher money wages. Okay, so now equilibrium will be at this point. This is E0. ঠিক আছে? At E2 what happens is you are supplying the same amount of labor as before. তাহলে এই যে increase in labor that had occurred only in the short run, not in the long run. So in the short run, the monetary policy is successful. It has increased demand. It has increased employment. But what happens in the long run? The output returns to the original Y0. Employment falls back to the original N0. Okay. So in the long run, you have the same output and employment. The only difference is from E0 is that prices have gone up and money wages has gone up. Prices goes up to P2, money wages goes up to W2. So the increase or change is temporary. As soon as producers perceive that a new price regime has set in because of the increase in money supply, as soon as they revise their price expectations, the increase in output is wiped out. Output falls back to the original level. So if you incorporate price expectations into the Keynesian model, you have only short-run price changes. In the long run, money supply becomes ineffective. Is this clear?
Excuse me, sir. Sir, why is aggregate demand a function of price expectations?
Why aggregate demand?
Sir, you have written AD
না
naught.
কেটে গেল একটু।
Sir, AD naught P naught E means means there is price expectations. Means aggregate demand is a function of price expectations. You have written.
হ্যাঁ,
Sir, why is that? Means aggregate demand is in all real terms.
no, but will not aggregate demand depend upon prices?
Sir, we have already drawn that. Sir, Py that curve we have drawn. Sir, should it not be AD naught M naught, and then we are explaining that M1 means increase in the money supply.
Oyan, I think it's better if you ask it in the next class. তোমার কথা না একটু খুব কেটে যাচ্ছে। I can't understand what you're saying.
Okay, sir.
Just remind me, please. Okay.
Sir, can you show the previous
Okay.
slides once?
Sir,
Can you show the paint slide once?
sir, ওই যে বলেন না স্যার neoclassical economics, is it this thing only?
না না, এটা কিন্তু কেনশিয়ান মডেলটাই চলছে। মানে Lucas pointed out that if you incorporate price expectations in the Keynesian model, you will see that policy making is ineffective in the long run. This is a point that was recognized by Keynes also. আর এই ওয়ালরেশিয়ান ব্যাপারটা এইটা আমি পড়াবো না, এইটা আই থিঙ্ক ইট উইল বি টট ইন দ্য নেক্সট সেমেস্টার। মানে এই যে অ্যাটেম্প টু ডেভেলপ আ থিওরি অফ কনজাম্পশন, মানি ডিমান্ড, এইগুলো তোমাদের পরের সেমেস্টারে পড়ানো হবে। কিন্তু সবগুলো ইনকর্পোরেট করে একটা নিওক্লাসিক্যাল ম্যাক্রো ইকোনমিক্স, দ্যাট ইজ নর্মালি আ পার্ট অফ দ্য পোস্ট গ্রাজুয়েট কোর্স। I'm only going to discuss mainly the policy part, not the development of a new theoretical model.
মানে স্যার এই যে এখানে ওই নিউ ক্লাসিক্যাল ইকোনমিক্স বলছেন আর ওই নিও ক্লাসিক্যাল ইকোনমিক্স ইটস দ্য সেম থিং, রাইট?
What you're saying is neoclassical and
And yes, sir.
neoclassical. আচ্ছা, অ্যাকচুয়ালি নিওক্লাসিক্যাল বলতে আমরা মাইক্রো ইকোনমিক্সে বলি। We use the term in micro economics. আর ম্যাক্রোতে আমরা নিউ ক্লাসিক্যাল কথাটা বলছি, ইউজ করি। বাট ইফ ইউ আর টকিং অ্যাবাউট দ্য ফ্রেমওয়ার্ক, বোথ দ্য স্কুলস হ্যাভ দ্য সেম ফ্রেমওয়ার্ক।
Okay, sir.
Sir, done.
আচ্ছা, okay. Now the new classical economics argued that the big problem with the Keynesian policy prescription was regarding how they formed price expectations. Okay, that is this part. যা বাবা, এটা কোথায় গেল? this part, এই যে থিওরিটা, এই যে প্রাইস এক্সপেকটেশনের ফরমেশনটা, this was not acceptable. The problem is with this theory of price expectation that the adjustment is very slow, and if you want to analyze policy changes, then the price expectations are held constant. But that means when a policy change occurs, we know that we can see that there is going to be inflation. Whenever money supply is increasing, we know that there is going to be an increase in price level in the economy. But according to Keynes, what people are doing is they are still going on assuming that the price level will be same. Do you think that this is very clever of the agents? Obviously, there's something wrong. That means agents are not learning, they are very stupid agents. Right? মানে বারবার যদি তুমি দেখো যে এই পলিসিটা নিলেই প্রাইস এইভাবে চেঞ্জ করছে, তুমি আজকে দেখলে ঠিক আছে, ইউ মে নট আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড ইট, কালকেও দেখলে একই জিনিস হচ্ছে, পরশুও দেখলে একই জিনিস হচ্ছে, fourth day when the money supply changes is increased, how will you respond? তোমার মাথায় তো ঘুরবে যে এই তিনবার মানি সাপ্লাই বাড়ানোর ফলে প্রাইস বেড়েছে, তাহলে এবারও বাড়বে। কিন্তু কেনস বলছে যে নো, পিপল আর স্টিল বিং অ্যাক্টিং ভেরি ফুলিশলি। ওরা বলছে না, আমাদের প্রাইস এক্সপেকটেশন কনস্ট্যান্ট, আগে যা হয়েছে এখনো তাই হবে। So John Muth proposed an alternative model based on rational expectations. Instead of assuming that agents consider only past information, Muth argued that expectations are formed using all the relevant information which is currently available. So in other words, if you want to predict what prices are, you identify what are the determinants of prices, and then you collect information on all these determinants. If you want to form an expectation of what interest rate is, you find out what are the determinants of interest rate, and then you collect information on these determinants. Okay. So in contrast to Keynes's backward-looking theory, rational expectation is forward-looking. So Keynes is basically saying that I'm standing today is 28th September, and I will consider the information that was available on 27th September, 26th September, and so on up till 1st September. The rational expectation schools argues that I'm standing on 20th September and I will try to utilize all information which is currently available and find out what will happen in the future. So I want to find out what will happen in 29th September, 30th September, 1st October, 2nd October, and then taking into account all this information, I will make up my decision today. So I'll ask you a question. Okay, suppose you are a leader of a trade union and you have to bargain for wages. Today is the date when the wage contract is going to be determined. Now, in the past 1 month, prices has been 500. Sorry, prices have been 5, let us say. You expect that in the future 1 month, price will be 10. your target real wage is 200. If you are a Keynesian, what will be? See, you have to bargain in terms of money wage. What will be your money wage? তোমরা কোন মানি ওয়েজের জন্য বার্গেন করবে and why?
The 1000.
1,000.
Yeah. So 1000 which you divide by 5 will give you the target. But if you are a rational expectation,
2000.
2,000.
it will be 2000, which will again give you 200. So basically, Keynes is looking at the past and is assuming that the past will continue today. ঠিক আছে, যেটা এখানে বলছে adjustment is slow and can be assumed to be fixed. Rational expectation says is forward looking. তাহলে ইনফরমেশনটা নিয়ে what a rational expectation does is they attempt to predict what will happen in the future, and they base their actions, they make up their minds on how to behave based on what is going to happen in the future. Okay, so that means if your policy change is anticipated, see, policy changes can be of two types. It can be anticipated or it may be a shock, a surprise. So if the policy change is anticipated, which can happen in two ways, that either the policymaker announces that, okay, in the next month, I'm going to remove the subsidies on LPG. Or maybe the policy, you have observed the policymaker and you have seen that he behaves in a particular way. So you learn how he is behaving. Okay. So in that case, if you anticipate the policy change, we'll show this in the next class. In that case, a change in money supply, a change in the fiscal policy will not have an impact on employment and output, even in the short run. কেইন্স বলেছিল শর্ট রানে এফেক্ট হবে, লং রানে আমি আবার আগের জায়গায় চলে আসব। মনিটারিস্ট এই নিউ ক্লাসিক্যালরা বলল যে ইফ দ্য policy change is anticipated, it is going to be completely ineffective even in the short run. লং রানে তো ইনএফেক্টিভ হবেই, কেইন্সও বলছে, কিন্তু শর্ট রানেও ওটা ইনএফেক্টিভ হয়ে যাবে। ঠিক আছে, ইজ ইট ক্লিয়ার হোয়াট আই হ্যাভ সেড?
Yes, sir.
এত আস্তে করে কেন, বুঝতে পারোনি? ঠিক আছে, ইফ ইউ ডোন্ট আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড তাহলে ঠিক আছে,
আওয়াজ হচ্ছিল তো এর জন্য।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে। ঠিক আছে, অয়ন তুমি বোধহয় যেটা জিজ্ঞেস করছো যে এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ডটা কেন এক্সপেক্টেড প্রাইসের উপর ডিপেন্ড করবে, তাই তো?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ইফ ইউ ওয়ান্ট টু লিভ ইউ মে লিভ। জাস্ট এটা আমি পেস্ট করে আমি তোমাকে বলে দিচ্ছি। দেখো যেটা হচ্ছে তোমার এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ডটা কিভাবে আসছে? এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ড আসছে তোমার এইখান থেকে, ISLM মডেল থেকে। So I've drawn this model, I've got over here R, I've got over here Y. ঠিক আছে, now price is P1. So corresponding to P1 you have got Y1. আচ্ছা এইবারে আমরা প্রাইসটাকে ধরো চেঞ্জ করে দিলাম, তখন আমরা দেখব যে এই আইএস কার্ভটা শিফট করে যাবে। The LM curve is a demand for nominal balances. IS curve টা এখানে শিফট করে গেলে I'm going to get a different equilibrium point. I'm going to get a different Y2. তাহলে corresponding to P2 I've got Y2. এই ইনফরমেশনটাকে নিয়ে আমরা একটা এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ড কার্ভ কনস্ট্রাক্ট করি। This is price, this is Y.
স্যার প্রাইস চেঞ্জ করলে এলএম কার্ভে শিফট হয় না?
সরি, কিন্তু এটা আমি আর আঁকতে হয়ে যাবে। এইখানটা ঠিক আছে। তাহলে এখানে আমার P1 Y1 হলো, এটা P2 Y2 হলো। এইভাবে আমি এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ড কার্ভটা কনস্ট্রাক্ট করব। কিন্তু এইখানে আমার যে এই এলএম কার্ভগুলো থাকছে, এইখানে কিন্তু আমার এক্সপেক্টেড প্রাইসগুলো চলে আসবে। সো দ্য প্রাইস দ্যাট if you are expecting a price change, then also the LM curve will shift. মানে এই যে এখান থেকে যে শিফটটা, আচ্ছা তাহলে এখানে জাস্ট I'm in a class right now. I'll call you in 5 minutes. Yeah, sorry, extremely sorry. কি বলছিলাম? আচ্ছা, এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ড প্রাইস এক্সপেকটেশন। তো যেটা হচ্ছে যে যখন পিটা চেঞ্জ করছে, তখন এই আইএসএলএম কার্ভগুলো চেঞ্জ করে যাবে, এবং ফর দ্য সেম প্রাইস লেভেল ইউ আর গোয়িং টু হ্যাভ আ ডিফারেন্ট এগ্রিগেট ডিমান্ড কার্ভ। ঠিক আছে, আজকে এটাই থাক। আই ডোন্ট ওয়ান্ট টু ডিলে ফার্দার। অসুবিধা নেই, আমি পরের দিন বুঝিয়ে দেবো। ওকে, 15 মিনিট হয়ে গেছে। টেক ইট অফ, টেক ইউর টাইম অফ।
Sir, can you show the slide before of the limitations of the Keynesian?
পরের দিন দেখিয়ে দেবো।
Sir, একটাই লাইন আছে।
কোনটা বলো তো? নট
Limitations. Yes, this one. Yes, sir, done, sir.
ঠিক আছে, তাহলে সো we'll meet tomorrow then.